Welcome to another Hate Watchers breakdown and review. Today we're going over The Eye, the 7th episode of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Let's jump right into things. Spoilers ahead. We begin with Galadriel waking up after taking a wave of ash, fire, and molten mud burning at over 1,000 degrees to the face and being perfectly fine. Raise your hand if you saw that one coming. After getting knocked out in the Southlands, Galadriel awakens in downtown Detroit. She sees a flaming horse, which is in no way a comment on the horse's sexual orientation. She sees dead and dying Southlanders wreathed in flames, and she must feel like she's in hell. Kinda like us viewers have been watching this show. Theo shouts for his mother, and Galadriel pretends to be his mom. This guy forgot the third step in stop, drop, and roll. Antimo's lazy ass doesn't want to get up. Look at that quitter. The Queen, Valandil, and Isildur go into the tavern to get some drinks, but the service here sucks. Then the building comes down, and they leave Isildur behind as they head to the next bar. We cut to a peaceful stream that the Harfoots ruin with their hairy feet. They're dragging along wagons full of reefer they picked up in Weedbrook. They see like 4 burnt trees, and this means the world is ending. Oh no. The homeless stranger mutters to a tree in deranged homeless speak, and his meth rage kicks in as he tries to push it down on top of the Harfoots. Unfortunately, he misses, so their story will go on. Elrond is still in Khazad-dûm, further abusing his friendship with Durin for the elves' gain. The dwarves don't trust him, but he calls the king a short, bearded fuck before rubbing it in by getting on one knee to show him just how much bigger he is. Durin consults with King Daddy, who says the elves should just die like everyone else. Durin, blind to the abusive friendship he has with Elrond, whines to his dad to help the elves. Lizzo is hammering away, making a giant butter knife for herself so she can properly coat her monstrous portions, and Durin puts his hand right onto the molten metal. Elrond breaks into their home to guilt-trip Durin, and then corrects his poor grammar. Durin tosses the magic mithril crystal toward this dying leaf, and the leaf returns to life, and somehow this is a big reveal like Elrond hadn't been saying that all along. Galadriel suddenly needs reinforcements after doing everything else herself up to this point. She then stops Theo from trying to help people, because this version of Galadriel is a sociopath. Elsewhere, everyone is totally fine somehow after the volcano attacked them, and apparently no one looked around or went back to check for survivors. Elendil offers his horse to the queen, and Valandil tells him his son is dead. Isildur? More like was Ildor. Theo says everyone is dead, and for some reason remembers his mother third after Arondir, who he didn't like, and his friends who left to join Sauron. Galadriel brags about how many orcs she's killed, and now she's virtuous, 30 minutes after admitting that the darkness had taken her over in the last episode. She makes Theo carry her sword because she's too good for grunt work. Queen Muriel comes unnecessarily close to hitting this branch on horseback, and we learn that her vision is gone. And Elendil is here to rub it in.
I see.
Do you?
She asks him to lead her horse so no one knows she's blind, because she wants to fool her people like a good leader would. Sadik compliments the stranger's legs, and the stranger stands up to show him off. But then Sadik says he should use those nice legs to walk far, far away from them. Now that the smelly people are gone, this flower comes out of hiding. Although he's forced to leave, the stranger is happy to be finally free of the weird girl. Nori offers the last good apple to the stranger instead of her family or her people, and the show spends 3 minutes on her handing it to him. And like all homeless people, he takes it and leaves without saying thanks. Nori is upset and pouring her heart out, questioning her place in the universe and whether or not she can do any good for it. And her mom just sends her to bed. Theo asks Gal if she's lost anyone close to her, and she claims her husband is dead? He's very much alive in Lord of the Rings. He's obviously just missing, and she hasn't bothered to look for him, much like the survivors in the Southlands. Theo, now in blackface, tells Galadriel it wasn't her fault, it was his. She doesn't let him take the burden because that's her burden, she's the hero. Theo misses home, but not his mother apparently. Gal and Theo are forced to hide from an orcish patrol, but Theo's farts are giving them away.
What is it? What do you smell?
Back in the Dwarven mines, Durin says F it, I'll do it myself, and does back-breaking work for Elrond while he sits there and does nothing. Elrond also forces Durin to call him master. Durin's managed to carve out a glory hole in the mine, but there's no dong on the other side, just sweet, sweet mithril. King Daddy catches them up past their bedtime, and he has the bouncers kick out Elrond. Durin's daddy issues bubble to the surface once more. He whines again about saving the elves, and King Daddy rips off his necklace, which apparently disinherits him or something. The little field of apple trees is fine now. Good thing they sent away that stranger who helped fix it. Weird Girl sees a footprint and just bolts. We once again see this gender-free individual from like 4 episodes ago as they're dramatically picking flowers and pointing into the distance. Nori jumps out and tells them not to go that way. There was a deranged homeless person they sent over there. Some brave Harfoots threaten they-them, and they-them puts out the fire and torches their carts. Nori helps her people yet again. Elendil frees Isildur's horse Beric, who runs off to go save Isildur because no one else has any interest in doing so. Elendil then curses Galadriel, who shows up 3 seconds later. Theo looks for Arondir first, and then his friends, and then his mom, in that order. Of course, she was fine, 4 feet away, and he didn't notice or probably even care. Arondir is fine too, but not happy that Theo did blackface earlier. Everyone stops to acknowledge Galadriel's strength and independence, and she demands to see the Queen instead of showing an ounce of emotion at these people's suffering or survival. The Queen is already training her other senses Daredevil style. Galadriel insults the now blind Queen by assuming she doesn't know where she is.
You are not in Numenor.
Galadriel then borrows tears from someone else who is able to show emotion, and they roll down her face. The Queen calls for Captain Elendil, but he's pulling a prank on her by not responding. And he can barely hold back tears, it's so funny. Nori can start helping make amends to her people, but she just sits on her lazy ass. Her racist dad calls her a lazy N-word, and everyone heard it. He then looks directly at the camera and delivers the line from the trailer.
With our hearts even bigger than our feet.
Nori, her mom, Sadik, and the Weird Girl then stroll off to go save the world. Queen Muriel stands on the prow to navigate their ship home using only her sense of smell. Halbrand is alive. Galadriel thought he was dead because she didn't bother to look for anyone, remember? Both of them hold back smiles, and now Halbrand can walk and is pretty much fine. And everyone cheers the king they didn't know 90 minutes ago in the last episode. And the king promptly abandons his people. Lizzo starts talking about how Durin's father is wrong, and she's getting real close to saying they should just kill him. And then she says she can be Queen Lizzo. King Daddy tosses a leaf into the mithril mine, and a Balrog torches it. Thanks, Amazon. So much for a dramatic reveal of the Balrog's existence later when they stumble upon it. Adar is rallying his followers in light of their success. They hail him as Lord of the Southlands, but he says they need a new name for these lands. They ask what they should name it, and he doesn't answer them. He just stares up directly at the changing text on screen, which reveals it to be Mordor, and the episode comes to an end. And with that, we've reached the point in the video where we have to decide if this episode was a great watch or a hate watch. Well, it didn't take long for this show to slip back into being a hate watch, did it? This episode seemingly brought us right back to the excruciating slow pace of the first 5 episodes. One episode with some fighting and actual conflict was enough this season for the creators, apparently. And all of the storylines this show is developing are unnecessarily long. Every little nugget of information and story progression is offered to us spread out in 4 or 5 scenes when one would do. It all just drags on and on, giving us one crumb at a time. And then once you finally gathered up all of the crumbs and pieced them together, you realize it was just a turd sandwich all along. We've spent, what, 4 episodes on Elrond trying to get Mithril? 6 episodes wondering who the stranger is? A minute total seeing the person who might be Sauron? All the while sitting through what feels like a couple 100 hours of Galadriel squinting and angrily whispering her way through atrocious dialogue. We've got just one more episode left this season. We could finally use some answers, Amazon. It's like they expect that if they leave these questions open, people will tune in next season to finally get answers. But it doesn't work that way. People want to watch shows they enjoy, not sit around waiting for information they can just Google whenever Amazon Studios shits out the next season. You can't bribe people with cliffhangers and wondering who these characters really are when you've ignored the basics of storytelling and plopped out a boring slog of a season weighed down by the writing that gave us these meandering storylines and the torturous hollow dialogue. I could say a lot more here, but I'll wait until after the finale next week to see what stunt they pull to try and send us off wanting more. Galadriel gave her usual stiff, emotionless performance. I agree with most of you that much, if not most, of the blame belongs with the writers for this character, but unless they told her to play every scene completely devoid of emotion, they don't deserve all of the blame. I mean, the actress was twitching her eyes a little bit in one scene, which I think was supposed to be one of the many emotions you could choose from, and I was laughing out loud, it was so bad. So probably not what the writers were going for there. Isildur's horse has shown more emotion in 30 seconds of screen time than Galadriel has in 7 episodes, during which she's on screen for half of each and every episode. The point is, while the writers certainly wrote the character into a corner, the actress has worked together with them to bring this once beloved character of legend down. Also, how are there any orcs left? Arondir brought that tower down on them and took out at least a third, the villagers wiped out another third, and the Númenóreans massacred the remaining orcs, and there was like 6 held captive before the volcano exploded, which decimated all of the humans who were in its path. But the orcs are fine, I guess, just don't question it. Just consume next episode, citizen. Well, thank you to everyone who made it this far into the video. I can at least say with certainty it's easier to get through than this show. Comment below. If the season finale is not explosive and these questions aren't answered, are you planning to tune in for season 2? What characters do you still have an interest in following at this point? We'd really appreciate it if you would leave a like on the video, as it will help the channel continue to grow. And remember to hit that red subscribe button if you haven't already for weekly breakdowns and reviews of the Rings of Power and other current shows and movies. A big thank you once again, and we'll catch you on the next one.